the Hair Talk by your girl Jenny's Mills, hair care guru and stylist. It is our third episode, and our first two episodes have been going very well. I have managed to leave it, baby. I have managed to get the first episode uploaded on my YouTube channel. However, I'm getting some difficulties with the second episode. For those who have not seen the second episode, you can go back to our Facebook page. Well, go down to this page and then you will see the second episode, which was on the topic how hair grows. Today we're going to focus on big chop versus transition. It's an exciting topic for me because I have big chop like 4 times. This time I must say, when I big chop, it was more exciting because I felt like, okay, I was a little cuter now. So we're gonna go ahead straight into it. Again, let me welcome everybody who has already logged in. If you're logged in, just go quickly, share the video so we could get more persons on here, so more persons could shoot some questions, more persons could view the live, and therefore my name is Jenny's Mills. For those who don't know, I'm the owner of Jenny's Mills Hair Care Guru and Stylist. I'm Jenny's Mills. I'm the owner of Ancient Cute Wigs, which creates customized wigs, hopefully to provide bundles and other services come March this year. I'm also the owner of Cutie Pie Essentials, where we provide or we create handmade or handcrafted hair products which are 100% natural. Presently we have our anti-itch growth oil, which is fantastic. It is selling quickly. We have our whip shea butter, which was our first ever product, our whip shea butter, the original scent, and the moringa infused. We also have an edge control, and we have bonnets. Soon we'll be adding on our shampoos, our conditioners, our treatments, and masks. Okay. For those who don't know the name of our YouTube channel, it is Jenny's Mills. So if you go on YouTube, you can follow us, subscribe there. Enough of all of that. Today our topic is big chop versus transitioning. Again, if you're hearing me clearly, give me a thumbs up. If you have any difficulty seeing the video, let me know. Alright, so big chop versus transitioning. When I chose this topic, I was taking in consideration that most persons decide that they're going natural. Most persons decide they're going to change their season of hairstyling. I call it season of hairstyling because, you know, we have some of us have this relaxed season, some of us have the don't care season, some of us have the natural season, some of us have the protective season. So I call it a season. So when we decide we're going to do a big chop or we're going to do transitioning for going on our natural hair journey, as I'm going to be focusing on today, there are a lot of things that we lose focus of, or we don't focus on, we don't consider, because we just like, you know what, I want to join it because I want to join the trend, or I just want to join because I'm so fed up with the status that my hair is in. Today what I'm going to do, I'm going to separate both of them, speak about the cons and pros of doing a big chop and of course transitioning, and then try to help you compare, you know, how you would go about making a decision to do either the big chop or the transitioning. So you have been relaxing your hair for years and years, or you have installed your locks for decades, or wish you just need to start your new season, as I just said, into your natural hair journey. Whatever your present stage is right now, you have a decision to make, whether you're going to chop off or cut off or chunk off all, or you're going to transition. Most persons don't go into the in-depth analysis and figuring out how they're going to do the big chop or how they're going to do transition. So this is what I'm going to help you guys with today. Big chop, getting back closer to your texture that you were born with. I like to think of big chop as a beginning. As its name says, it sounds just like what its name is. You big chop. Instead of gradually trimming your ends, you simply cut a big chunk of all your hair and wear it short. You have a fresh new canvas to begin with. So for me, it's the easier way out. So if you want to go natural and the easier way out, in my opinion, you do a big chop. Because what it does, it allows you to have a clean canvas. Some people do a big chop where they leave minimum 2 inches, sometimes one, sometimes none at all. Some people shave their head Some people cut their hair where they would leave an inch where you could braid it right away, or you could crochet it, or you could do protective styles. Some people do it where they just cut off like half the amount. But once you cut off more than half of your hair, and then I consider it a big chop. I like to think of big chop as the freedom cut. Listen, though sometimes when you're in the barber's chair or in the salon's chair and they start cutting, like, what the hell am I doing? But at the end of the day, when you take that selfie or you get that perfect cut, it's like, nobody can stop you, trust me. Though it can be proved, though it has been proven to be very uncomfortable as you just do it, or people can be very judgmental, I say if you're going to do a big chop, you ensure that you understand who you are. Be confident in yourself. Because you may do a big chop, you might look at yourself in the mirror after you do the big chop and you're like, okay, yay. But then when you look, you lose the confidence in your big chop. Okay? So clip the scissors. That's how you feel when you're in the chair. Clip. What to consider before you do a big chop? You need to consider the shape of your head. Sometimes the shape of your head and the size of your head. Some persons are not made for a big chop. Just like some persons weave does not fit them. Some persons locks don't fit them. And again, this isn't the outside opinion, because you may feel like you look confident and everything else. But you need to consider the shape of your head and the size of your head, because you don't want to go and do a big chop. Let's say you do a big chop where you shave off all your hair and then you're like, she ain't right. You know, so you have to consider those two things before you do a big chop. And there's something that I always say, not everybody has to be natural. Because I do have customers who try the natural journey and realize that it's just not for them. It's not that they don't want healthy hair or they don't want to stick with the journey. It's just that it's too tasking. It doesn't make them feel confident, because as a stylist I can encourage that, but I can't convince you that you are confident. You have to feel that from inside. Okay? So we're going to go down to the pros of doing a big chop. Today's going to be a simple day, easy day. The pros of doing a big chop. One, you instantly have technically you instantly have one texture to deal with. Meaning that if you cut off all your hair, you don't have, sometimes, and this statement is kind of controversial, because most of us have different hair textures on one canvas. For me, the front of my hair is thinner and more straighter. The back is very coily. The middle is thicker. Most of my clients have sometimes 2, 3, 4, 5 textures of hair on one head canvas. But with a big chop, it's easier to manage. You're gonna find you can use also less product. You're gonna be able to figure out what product works for your hair easily. But bear in mind, as you grow out of the big chop status, you're gonna also possibly have to change your products as well. Another pro of big chopping is that you get rid of finding a hairstyle. When you big chop, you have one hairstyle. The hairstyle is wash it, add your moisturizer, your oils, your gels, and go. When you have your hair, for example, in the transitioning state, you're gonna have to find different products to style it. You're gonna have to find different styles to style them, etc. So that's another pro. That's a second pro. The third pro, for those who wear locks and they want to transition out of that stage, you take away of the weight and the possibly damaged edge lock. The fourth thing is that your styling routine is cut down in few minutes, sometimes maybe just 1-2 minutes, and you're done with your styling routine. You have the freedom to wash your hair. You have the freedom to feel fresh. You have your freedom to have access to water on your scalp very much more often. As you grow your hair, you learn new techniques. So during the process, or the journey of the big chop to you growing out your hair, you start learning your hair all over again. Because some people would be like, okay, you know what, I want to go natural, but I'm not all about the transitioning stage. I just want to cut it all off. It helps you to learn your hair, learn what works with your hair, learn what, and it goes back to the point which I made, where you learn to try. You get the opportunity to learn new products. You're gonna have less wastage of product, as I said before. You're gonna have a lot of inspirations of how to style your hair with it in a big chop. Whether it be you play with color, which I did a lot, you play with cuts, you play with designs, you can be creative. Because some persons will have that same ball canvas of their big chop, and then they will add sewings through sticking with the weave. You would be able to use wigs. You'd be able to use play around with caps and play around with wraps and all of those different things. So those are just a few pros of doing a big chop. Again, you will have one texture to deal with. Most of you will have one texture to deal with. It will get rid of the hassle of finding hairstyles. For those who have locks, you will not have the weight of having the locks on your hair anymore. You wouldn't have damage and old locks on your head anymore. Your styling routine will be cut down in a few minutes. You have freedom to use water, freedom from water anxiety. You will be able to learn as your hair grow, new techniques, and also gain overall knowledge of how to treat your hair. You will have less wastage of product. Of course, you're going to have a wide range of inspiration in terms of styles on social media. Pinterest is a good place to find ideas for big chops or big chop cutting or styling or coloring. Also Instagram and so on. You can play with color. For those who like using color, you're unsure about a color, you could let your hair grow out a little bit, maybe about ½ an inch. Throw a color on there so you could know, okay, this color works, this color doesn't work. And the good thing is that you can change your colors more often, because you know your hair grows and you could just cut it off and then try a new color. You can also play with cuts. I do that a lot. My barber is Jason from Crazy Cuts. His colleague is Ali Baba. They are perfect with women and cutting their hair. Trust me, you need to check them out. Fishbee. Okay, the next thing I'm gonna run too quickly is the cons. I only have about 3 reasons someone should not do a big chop, and that would be the main one, and I touched on it when I said there are things that you should consider before doing a big chop, which is you should consider if it will fit your face. As I said, you don't want to go so in depth into doing a big chop, and when you do a big chop it doesn't fit your face. No, you will also be limited on styling. Yes, you could use a wig, yes you could do the bonnets, yes you could do the wraps, yes you could do the cap, but it's going to limit you in terms of giving you a different style. Because there are persons who don't want to wear wigs or who don't want to wear units. Okay, then the last con I have is that big chop is a staple look. So after you do it, there is nothing much more you can do with it in terms of, you know, wowing the crowd. Because it's, even if you color it, that's a wow. Even if you style it and you cut it and you design it in different styles, that's also a wow. But it's like very limited in that sense. So this is what I suggest for persons who decide they want to do a big chop. These are just some styling options. You can do a taper cut as a big chop, because some persons do that taper cut where you like 5 inches of hair, they shave or cut lower the lower part of it, the nape area and the sides, and then they leave this tapered nice look. You could do that as an option for styling. You could do a frohawk where you only cut the sides and then you leave the middle with some hair. You can also do like as your hair grows out, you can do kinky or natural looking clip-ins. Of course you can do your wigs and your units, and of course your wash and goes are gonna be amazing. For me, wash and goes are the best when the hair is shorter, right? And I also recommend that you have fun when you do a big chop. Have a lot of fun when you do a big chop. And another thing you should consider is do not over process your hair. We have persons who, well, I have clients who do big chops and then the hair start growing ½ an inch, maybe an inch, and then they want to texturize because they feel that they want a certain curl pattern with it. Now, with a texturizer, quote unquote, it's not a relaxer, quote unquote, you find that it gets back to its natural stage a little faster than if you do a relaxer. And then people or clients are tempted now to go back to using the relaxer sometimes once a week, or the texturizer once a week, which I think, well, which I know is not healthy for your hair. Also, you have persons who will decide that they want to color very often, like every 2 weeks change a color, or every week change a color from red to blue to green. Bear in mind that, you know, your hair is You're trying to get it growing, you're trying to get it healthy, and you don't want to over process it as well, because what's going to happen as it grows out, if you're not one who cuts it or shaves it off as soon as you change a color, what is going to happen is that your ends are going to be weak, and you're going to find yourself in the same position as a transitioning person who decides to go on a natural hair journey, because you're going to have your natural hair or your new growth growing out, and then you're going to have the colored ends damaged. Okay, I have a lot of persons who go through that as well. Okay, I'm going to take a minute just to see who's here. Hi everybody. I'm seeing Dion, Andrew Wilson saying great tips. Thank you, love. Don't forget, guys, to share the live so others can see and others can join, others can make their comments and ask their questions as well. If you have any questions about pros and cons of doing a big chop, feel free to shoot it in the comments below. I'm gonna quickly move along to the transitioning part of this life. I call transitioning the safe journey. This is for persons who are, I wouldn't say not confident, but are unsure if they really want to go natural, because some persons, I do advise some clients that, for example, you're relaxing for a while and you realize you have thinning, or you realize that your hair is breaking a lot, or you realize, it's not as healthy as it used to be, because of course the constant relaxing or the constant chemical, the more chemicals you actually hear, the weaker it gets. So some customers, they said, you know what, I'm going to go natural for 6 months, or I'm going to go natural for a year, and then they go back to relaxer. In my opinion, that is okay. My aim as a hairdresser is to ensure that you care your hair, or your hair gets good, gets to a good healthy stage where you can do whatever you wish you could do with it. So I would say transitioning is the safe journey where it's like you're 1 foot in and you're 1 foot out. So it's an opportunity for you to be like, okay, yes, I want to go on this journey, but if I do decide to change my mind, I could just go right back, and it's quicker. Okay, as it says, transitioning means clipping away of your dead ends or your damaged ends and allowing your hair to grow along with those ends. Okay, now you could do transitioning in 2 ways, in my opinion. You can do it where you clip away the dead ends every so often on every treatment that you do, because I always advise customers who decide that they want to do a transition instead of a big chop to increase on the number of treatments, whether it's at home, whether it's in the salon. You have to, because what is happening is that you're going to have the dead ends stringing on or holding on to the new growth. What's going to happen is that the more these ends tangle, the more difficult it's going to get your root or your new growth to grow out. So I advise them to double up on their treatments, double up on clipping the ends as the time goes along. And then there are some persons who don't clip at all. They just allow the ends to fall off as time goes along. So whichever one you decide to do is up to you, whichever one is easier for you. And I will tell you a little bit more why I think it's bad to keep the ends on. Also, there are times when persons, there are times when persons end up going natural, not because they intentionally want to. Because some persons, they don't relax every 3 months. Some persons relax once a year. They literally have persons who do that. Because when I was relaxing, I used to relax my hair at least three times a year. I wasn't a big relaxer because I used to always use weave. At that time I wasn't using crochet. So weave and braids and those things. So what happened is that I realized, the first time I did my big chop, I realized that every time I relaxed my hair, I would do a protective style. So it's me necessarily adding chemicals to do a protective style, which wasn't making any sense. So I just decided I would not be doing that anymore, and I just went and I did my first big chop. Okay, the pros of doing the transitioning process when you're going on your natural hair journey or your healthy hair journey is, of course, you would not have to cut off all your hair. You will definitely have hair for those who want to do the quick ponytails, or those who want to be able to brush their hair in one quickly when they don't have the funds to do their hair, or they don't have the time to do their hair. So you will still have your hair itself there. Of course, it will be in 2 textures, but of course you'll be able to manage it, especially if you're not one who is very prone on styling your own hair. Okay, a second pro is you'll be able to manage your normal routine and as you will still have your length to play with. So some persons, even if they relax or they have the locks, normally you pull that in one. Normally you wash, you roll a set, you go to work. Some persons are able to still keep that routine while they have the transition, while they're going through the transitioning journey. And again, as I said, the transition journey is the safe journey in my opinion. Okay, the next thing is that you can transition for as long as you want. As I said, there are some persons who decide that they want to clip away from of the damaged ends as their hair grows out, and then you have persons who will just decide, I'm not gonna cut my hair at all. I'm just gonna allow the ends to gradually start falling off. Okay, now the cons. Yes, there are a lot of more cons in my opinion, with transitioning than there is with a big chop. You're gonna have two textures to deal with. Imagine you having thick hair to your roots, and then you have the relaxed ends, for example, on the end. What is gonna be happening is this: when you shampoo your hair, well, I don't have a mannequin or anything to demonstrate, but when you shampoo your hair, you're gonna feel, well, for me, and this happens with my clients, I explain this to them a lot when I'm shampooing their hair, especially when they're transitioning. What you find happening is that you feel all good because they massage your scalp or your hair feels really soft and nice, and then when we come to condition or to massage the conditioner into your hair, what happens is that it combs nicely through, then you get a blockage. You know what's happening here? Because it's two textures, the ends that are damaged, it's split, it is tangled. What is happening is that it's preventing your hair, it's preventing you from combing it out smoothly. And every time you keep combing out, what happens, and I know most of you see this, when you're transitioning, you lose a lot of hair, and like, oh, my hair is breaking. It will break because the dead ends are going to be falling off. So sometimes if you're transitioning, you shampooing your hair, you condition your hair, you're going to find that you have a lot of hair loss. So to prevent that hair loss, and what is happening there is not only the dead ends falling off, but because, of course, the dead ends is attached to your good growth or your new growth, it is also causing damage to the new growth. So that's one of the main cons of going through your journey by transitioning. Okay? The next one is, well, I'll touch on both of them. The dead ends prevent freedom of growth of your new hair. Another big challenge with transitioning is that you're going to find it difficult to find products, because for some persons, like, just as a hairstylist would tell you, you may not be able to use the same products you use on natural hair for relaxed hair. Imagine having to try to balance that off with you having two textures on your head at the same time. So you're going to have a lot of challenges with that as well. You're going to find that your hair is more fragile, again, with the breakage and the amount of hair loss you're going to get. And then you're going to find that it takes longer to get into the stage which you want, which is to be natural, fully natural. You're going to find that that process takes longer. There are some persons who don't believe in trimming ends or trimming their hair ends. I recommend that you at least do a trim 3-4 times a year, depending on how bad your hair is, and that is dependent on what your routine is. If you have a very good hair routine where you detangle properly, you moisturize, you treat, you care hair in a very beneficial way, you will not have the issue of having to trim your hair very often. Because I have persons who come, okay, it's my time to trim, and then when I look at the ends, it does needs to be trimmed. It's not that the hair is not growing, it's just that it's growing at a proper length because your routine is very efficient. Okay, about styling when you're going through your transitioning process, I would advise people do things like bantu knot twist outs, where you do your bantu knots and then you take them out, because what you find is that your roots will be thicker, so your hairstyle or your bantu knot also look fuller, and then because your ends are relaxed, for those who have relaxers, you find that you have a nice curlier or nicer form of curl with when you do the bantu knot outs. You can also do flexi rod styles. A lot of persons do that. You can do your wigs, as we can do with the big chop, and you can also do braiding. You can also do crocheting and stuff like that. Again, I would recommend that you trim your ends in small amounts so that you can help the hair grow better. I would advise that you double up on your treatments when you're going through the transitioning process. And I can also firmly say do hair protective styles, not hairstyles. Protective hairstyles. There is no reason your weave should be tight. There is no reason your crochet should be tight. And if it's tight, it shouldn't be where you get hair loss. Because of course, some persons have very sensitive scalp, and what you find is that they can't take any pressure on their hair at all. So I would advise that you do ensure that your hairstylist does protective styling, especially when you're transitioning through, once you're doing a hairstyle, and not just hairstyling, not just the pretty look of it. Bear in mind that you're going to need the canvas again, you know. So if anybody has questions, I see a few persons have joined. Hello, hello, hello. If you have any questions, now is the time. If you have any comments, if you want to share your journey, you can also do that. I also manage a Facebook group called Natural Hair Cutie Pies, where I am trying to get persons to express themselves about their natural hair journey, tell others about their natural hair journey, because sometimes we find that we are uncertain as to what we should do in a certain circumstance when it comes to our natural hair. So that group is there so that you could post it and you could share with others. Others will learn from you and you will learn from others. So if you do just did a big chop, or you did a big chop before, or you find you prefer your big chop versus your transition, or your transition versus your big chop, you could share it on that group as well. It's Natural Hair Cutie Pies on Facebook. We also have a Instagram page as well. So if anybody has questions, go ahead, let's shoot. I'm going to give you a few minutes to shoot your questions, and then we will wrap up. Today's a very, very short day because it's a topic where big chopping is easy, transitioning is harder. And again, this is my opinion. You guys may have your opinions. I think we have about 13 viewers now. Tell me, what is your opinion? Let's share it with others. Let's see if I have more persons on the big chop side, or I have other persons on the transitions. As you can see, I did a big chop in, well, you can't see that, but I did a big chop in June of last year. And again, that was my 4th big chop. And I love it. Because I decided on January 1st, I was not going to do any more cutting, and here I am. So, and I'm actually now trying to grow it out, but I'm tempted to always go to the barbershop. So, do you guys have any questions? I know most persons now are, maybe sad about the death of Kobe Bryant. So I know a few persons messaged me privately and said, I will not be able to look at this live today. I will look at it afterwards. So of course, so that other persons can get to see it afterwards, you go ahead and share it. We will definitely put it on our YouTube page so that you can view it there, and you can share it again with other persons, because I know there are persons who don't have Facebook or don't use Facebook. So I'm also putting it on our YouTube channel as well. So that you can view it there. On the 1st of February, I'm going to be launching my website, which is www.jennysmills.com. All our episodes are going to be blogged on that website. I'm creating that website so that you as my customers and you as my viewers can get to know more about me as a hairstylist and as a mom, as a hard worker. You'll be able to have access from that main page to any other pages that we have, or any businesses that we have. You'll be able to book me if you need me to speak on your behalf, or speak to you, or do private consults, because we're going to be adding private consults where I can come to you at your workplace and speak to you about your hair and give you advice, whether it is to come to me as your stylist or go to another hairstylist. So all of these things are going to be coming. As I posted on my WhatsApp status a few days ago, yesterday I think, saying that February is going to be a month of love. Yes, it will be. So I'll let you guys know a little bit more about that. Our second live is going to be, our first live for February is going to be next Sunday. That will be the 2nd of February. And I will let you guys know more of how much love I'm going to give you guys in February. But for now, okay, I have 2 persons with questions. I agree with you that it is hard to maintain 2 different textures. Yes, it is, Natalie Hodge. It is very difficult to manage the 2 textures. It's difficult even with natural hair persons who have different textures. There is this customer that I have, and I've chosen not to call customers names until they give me the okay. But the thing is, I don't know sometimes if I'm going to talk about that specific customers. But anyways, I have a customer. She has very coily hair, but the back of her head, from like half of her head back to her nape, is very thick. Coily, nice, but then the front is thin. So with your question, Miss Hodge, it is difficult because sometimes I have to use a heavier product on the back so that it will be able to have the same curl pattern or similar curl pattern as the front. So I know that it is very difficult. Tisha Richards, hi darling, she's saying for me I didn't do a big chop because I wasn't sure how it would fit my face. So what I did was I continued to do my wash and set every two weeks, and I also got my ends cut every time until I got to a length I liked. I cut all got to a length I like, then I cut all the perm. Yes, a lot of persons do that through the transitioning process. As I said, it depends on what you want. You have to make the decision. I will not advise anybody to sit in my chair and just decide, okay, yes, I need you to big chop, or yes, I need to transition. I always consult with my clients first, counsel them, let them know what the truth is, because sometimes they may not see what you see, and as a hairstylist, you should be able to tell your customers which way you think is the best. Of course, the final decision is them, but that is a good tip right there, because what she did, she continued with her roller sets until she felt confident enough to start trimming. That's Mrs. Richards, sorry. And then she decided to just cut off all the perm. And trust me, it happens. Some persons like, I'm not going to ever cut it. Then they themselves as clients will come like, okay, can you just cut a little bit today? Then next thing, cut a little bit tomorrow. So sometimes the clients will even engage me as to push me. Yes, I'm ready to cut, Miss Hodge is asking, what are your thoughts about hair type? I have coarse hair and I have difficulty maintaining moisture. Any recommendations? I like the question that she is bringing, because our next, and of course I'll let it out, our next episode is going to be on hair textures and retaining moistures. So you just sold up my next topic for next week. But that's fine. So I will give you, make sure you log on Miss Hodge next week so you can get some more tips and more information about you dealing with your coarse hair, or you trying to identify your hair type and how to retain moisture. There's a very simple formula, but you have to be educated on the formula to be able to understand how you identify what products will work and what actually is your hair type or your texture type. Okay? Anybody else have any more questions? We're here for a little bit longer. Let me see. Don't forget, guys, not a follower of this page, Jenny's Mill. Go ahead and follow our page so you can see updates on things that we're about, things that we're doing. You can follow our Instagram page if you're just into looking at pictures and gaining some information. You can also visit and follow our Instagram page. As I said, we have our product line company, which is Cutie Pie Essentials, that is growing really well, doing very well, and you can also follow our page there. And of course, if you're interested in wigs, you can also follow our page, Angie Cute Wigs. I'm gonna just log on for another minute, see if anybody else have any questions. Okay, Miss Hodge is giving us some more information. She said, I did both. I transitioned for 6 months and then I did a big chop. That's great. I hope that you're keeping up with your treatments and your trims as well. Another thing that I need to advise persons of when they're doing, and I found that happening to me when I did my big chop. I did my big chop in June for 2 reasons. I did it, one, because I was relaunching my product line and I want to show my customers how my products can help my hair grow. But then I got so in love with doing the chop or doing the continuing the cuts that it didn't happen. But an issue I had was with my hairline and my edges, these 2 areas here. What I find is that the more I cut it, I don't give it a chance to grow back, because of course I want to show you how my products actually work. So bear in mind this, when you're doing, or when you have done a big chop, ensure that I think it froze. Let me check. Oh no, it froze here. Sorry guys. When you do a big chop, ensure that you have a game plan. Ensure that you know, okay, I'm gonna big chop, but I'm gonna big chop and then keep it short for a year. I'm gonna big chop and keep it short for 2 months, because if you're on a mission to get your hair growing healthy, you have to start right away. The faster you start, the faster. I would advise that you do that. Another thing is to, when you transition, ensure that you save your edges. Maybe in the future I will start demonstrating to persons how you can tuck away your edges with braiding, with weaving, where you don't have that tension on your edges. It's a technique that I developed, or a technique that I learned through, of course, my clients and myself, and I will show you guys how you can do that. Or maybe I'll do a video and post it about how to do those things. Okay, so seeing that we have no more questions, and I know Facebook is busy today, I'm gonna wrap up. Yes, I'm gonna wrap up by saying thank you all for viewing or following my Facebook live broadcast. I must say I was indecisive of starting this, but I've been getting so much compliments and so much congratulations for this, and I thank you guys for viewing. I thank you guys for sharing the videos. I thank you guys for telling other persons about the videos, and I thank you guys for just the support, basically the support. Again, I am Jenny's Mills, your hair care guru and stylist. Go ahead and follow our different pages. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have plenty more in store for you. And remember, February is the month of love, and we will be having some nice surprises for you on our next live. Thank you again.